think about the way that buildings are prepped before demolition. Before the explosion even happens, there's a process to control damage, strategic weakening, safeguards put in place to limit the chaos, or even mirrors the way that they're handled during a remodeling. They are taped up not to stop the break-in, but to catch the shatter and to keep the pieces from flying everywhere. That is how I can describe the way that God has prepared me. He didn't stop the devastation. He didn't prevent the truth from coming out. But He did give me the grace to withstand it. So yes, I felt the collapse, but I also felt the cushioning, a soft place to land. I felt that grace wrapping itself around my grief, holding me while everything that I knew to be true was falling apart. But in the rubble, I saw truth, I saw clarity, and the kind of love that doesn't always prevent pain, but it always prepares us for it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Our Mess, His Canvas, the podcast. I am your host, Juvon. We often pray, God, show me the truth, but I don't think we always fully aware of the cost of truth. There is a misconception that God's answers will feel good. The truth is that clarity can break things. It can break trust, illusions, and expectations. I learned that grace does not always prevent, but it always prepares. It always prepares. In the moments before and after our move, there were little pockets of something that I felt was familiar, something that was a little off, sensing something is wrong. And in that moment, God gave me something to focus on. He gave me Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is anything excellent or worthy of praise, think about these things. And in a moment when I started to feel something that was familiar, whenever my mind would wander on the things that I couldn't prove, I would reflect on this verse. Is this true? Is this noble? Is this right? Is this pure? Is this lovely? Is this admirable? Is there anything excellent about this? Is there anything praiseworthy of this? And I started to condition my mind to think about these things because I know it was very easy for me to think myself into a bad mood. And so whilst that passage of scripture didn't prevent anything from happening, it didn't stop anything from being revealed. It was bringing me comfort in the things that I could control in that moment. It was giving me the opportunity to condition my mind to think about the positive absolutes as opposed to the negative maybes that I cannot prove. Whilst there was something emotional that I felt that was leading me towards a particular feeling or suspicion, and whilst there were physical things that I may have seen or felt, or even some spiritual indicators that something was a little off, there was no absolute proof. And instead of me hyper-focusing or hyper-fixating on something that I could not prove and sink myself into a bad mood, I decided to train my mind to focus on the positives and to focus on the things that I did have control over, focus on the things that I could see. So again, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. And that's what I started to do. I started to train my mind to think about the positive things, even in the middle of whatever I was presented with, to think about the positive things. And that developed a healthy space in my mind. I felt like my mind was healthy to thrive. And that's what I would refer to as the taping of the mirror. That is what I refer to. That is what I look back on. The fact that God gave me something to hold me, to keep my mind focused on in the interim until I was ready. That is when I recognized that God's protection is not always in sparing us, but it is in getting us ready. I can tell you that the grief that comes with revelation feels like a shattering. And that's why I refer to the mirror being taped up. God putting that tape on that mirror for me was me being protected from this glass that was about to be broken. It was not God stopping the glass from being broken. It wasn't even God saving the glass. It was God preparing me for when that glass had to break. That tape, God's grace, it kept me from becoming completely undone. I felt as if it was developing some emotional resilience and a spiritual protection. But after a while, I felt like this feeling was not going away, and I was kind of getting tired of feeling it. So I prayed a very bold-faced prayer, and I can tell you, if you are not ready to get this prayer answered, I would suggest that you do not pray it. But I remember that morning praying, God, I'm kind of tired of this feeling. It isn't going away. If there is any truth, if there is any validity to what I am feeling right now, then I ask that you would give me the clarity and show me the truth. But if there is nothing behind this feeling, then I pray that you just take it away, please. And I tell you, it was 3 days. 3 days. That prayer was answered in 3 days. It was devastating, shocking, unbelievable, almost. There were so many things that I was feeling in that moment, but there were two that stood out the most. There was the feeling of validation. I knew I was right. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't imagining things. I knew that my gut was right. I knew it. I knew I wasn't wrong, but the fact that I was not wrong, the fact that I was right, and the fact that this is what I have to deal with now. How do I deal with this? What do I do with this? I remember feeling that feeling of being the last to know. Being the last to know that there was an unhappiness that led us here. Being the last to know that there was a problem that existed that I did not know that led us to this place. Being the last to know that this was happening in the first place. It was just a mix of those two feelings. I know I wasn't crazy. I know that I wasn't wrong. But then I'm right, and now what do I do with this? What do I do with this now that I am right? But that feeling of being the last to know, it was just such a surreal feeling, and not the good type of surreal. It didn't feel real. It felt like a bad dream, like God just wake me up from this. It's such a strange thing to get that validation, but now hoping, wishing it wasn't right. This isn't what we're dealing with right now. The reality for me at that moment was the fact that life was still lifing, and so I had to put all of this on pause to go pick my kids up from school, come back home and resume. This is true. This is what's going on. And then put it on pause again to go and sit through a soccer match, and then come back home and try to figure out, like, what am I supposed to do now? I felt like a zombie, just sitting, existing. All of the emotions, I felt like it just drained out of my body, and I did not know how to feel. It was that good feeling of being validated, but that numb before the pain really kick in. That numbing throb before the real pain really kicks in, and I didn't know what to do with it. There were nights that turned to 2, that turned to 3, that I couldn't sleep. And I remember just that feeling of just walking as if I'm walking on air. I can't feel my steps, but I know that I'm real, and I know that I'm not dreaming. But when the numbing wore off and that pain really ramped up 100%, I was so broken. And that's when I saw God. That's when I had to hold on to some things. The fact that He makes all things new. So that's whatever I was feeling in that moment, He's able to make it new. And the fact that He always makes a way in the wilderness, because I was deep in it. Sitting in the rubble with God really gets you to understand, gets you to see, gets you to realize that when God says He is near to the brokenhearted, He means that. I felt Him in the rubble. I felt Him sitting in the middle of grief with me. When I just had a surge of questions and I came at Him launching one after the other. God, why? How you could let this happen? Why didn't stop anything? Why let this happen to me? I felt His embrace. I felt Him just embracing me in that moment. And I felt like I could have just fallen into His arms and grieve and cry. And He was right there with me, giving me that comfort, giving me peace. I learned how to grieve with God. I learned how to grieve with Him. I learned how to sit with him and just express God at everything that I didn't understand, everything that I felt was unfair, everything that I felt was wrong, but still acknowledge him for the way in which he showed up, the way in which he protected me, the way in which he even revealed the truth. He didn't just throw it in my face. He gave me the grace. He gave me 3 days, and he didn't just throw facts, just gave me a gentle revelation that wasn't going to break my heart anymore, but it was just enough for me to know that this is what we're dealing with and this is what is true. In those moments, I was able to find the beauty in the middle of my brokenness, meditating on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. And of course that this was not lovely, but I had to find a way to find the beauty in this. It took some time, but it was such a great help in me getting to a place of recovery. In those moments, when I look at the way in which he chose to reveal the truth to me, when I look at the ways in which he allowed me the time, he waited until I was ready to ask. He didn't just throw the facts in my face one day. He waited until I was ready to ask for the truth. And he revealed the truth in such a graceful, gentle way. I look at those moments, and that to me was such pure evidence of his love. If you are in a moment where you are experiencing your own form of a collapse, maybe you're experiencing that feeling of wanting the truth, wanting validation, but you just don't know if you could deal with it. You just don't know if you have what it takes to pay the price of getting the truth. I would urge you to hold on to something that grounds you and something that can develop your mind into a habit of seeing the positives in what is being presented to you, as opposed to the speculations and the things that you don't have proof of. If you are in the middle of that collapse, I want you to know that your pain is real. It's not something that you should just brush away. It's something that you need to sit with and experience. It's something that you need to explore and dissect with God. Ask him all of the questions. Ask him to make something make sense to you. The things are just not making sense. Ask him. He is going to give that to you. I know you may be mad that it happened in the first place, but there is something in there that we cannot see that God sees. And we need to trust in that. Even when we can't trust his plan, we can trust his intentions, we can trust his heart. Trust that he knows that there is something deep within us he wanted to get out of us. And I'm not saying that that is how he set all of this up to happen, no. But things in life don't always go the way in which they were originally meant to go. The Israelites set out to the promised land. It was never intended for them to spend 40 years in the wilderness. It was supposed to just take 40 days. This may not have been the original plan for your life. This may not have been the original plan that you were supposed to experience, but here we are, and this is your experience. But trust that God is not going to leave you in that mess. Trust that God is going to use this pain and turn it into purpose. Trust that God has something better for you. Trust that God is going to use this to develop something in you that he always meant for you to be, that you may not have accomplished, you may not have attained. And so maybe that is why he may not have stopped something, because he saw the potential that this could hurt, yes, but you're going to be better out on the other side. This is going to be painful, yes, but she's going to be better on the other side. This is going to be devastating, yes, but he is going to be better on the other side. Just remember that being taped up, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't break. It just means that you're going to survive it. I'll close with that today. If this has resonated with you in any way, then I would encourage you to leave a like or drop a comment. If you need to reach out for a perspective or just to share, my email is ourmesshiscanvas@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, ourmesshiscanvas, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for tuning in. I pray that you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you in the next episode.